Hello, welcome to the Gousto Cookalong live. I'm Alice, as always, and I'm just going to introduce a few of our team members. This is Kira.
Hello.
Kira, what are you doing?
I'll be on social media asking Alice all of your questions.
So any questions for Kira and also Dan?
Hi.
What's your role?
I'm still undecided. I'll probably chip in with a few questions every now and again.
He just doesn't have much of a life, so
Yeah,
he's
no,
staying in the office.
Yeah.
And Lex, who's out of shot and too shy to join us, is over there. What are you doing, Lex? Monitoring. Technical stuff.
Yeah.
So let's get going. Don't need you guys anymore.
Okay, I'm going to start. Yeah.
So today we're cooking. This is the fourth cook-along we've done, I believe. Is it the fourth? Or is that fourth? And we are cooking coriander chicken, which is on the menu right now. If you've got your Gousto box, you'll have it. You'll have all of your ingredients all measured out. And what we really want to see at the end of the cook-along is your pictures. So if you consider yourself a bit of a food stylist, or you just have a delicious meal in front of you, then you need to hashtag Gousto Live, which is all one word. You can do that on Twitter, Instagram, or our Facebook, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, you also get to win if we'll choose the best looking picture, and you get to win a free Gousto box, which is quite incredible. Who wouldn't want a free Gousto box? So, okay, I'm going to get started. This is a really quick recipe. It's about 20-25 minutes. I'm going to go a bit slower than that in case you're kind of running around your kitchen and manically trying to listen to me. So I'm just going to go through the ingredients. You should have in front of you chicken breast. Should be about 280-300 grams. You might have two small breasts, or you'll have one large one. Got two small ones in front of me. I've got some basmati rice, which is a nice long grain rice. We are going to make that into a sort of really nice spiced curried rice with sultanas and stuff that our chicken sits on top of. You should have some ground almonds. This goes into the coriander chutney. Thickens it. Got some sultanas, which we're putting into the rice. 30 grams of those. 2 garlic cloves. A nice little piece of root ginger. Brown onion. I've got some curry powder, tablespoon, some chili flakes for a bit of fire, and I've got some turmeric for colour. And what else we got? We've got some really nice thick Greek yogurt, which is going to make the dish really creamy. And last but not least, the star of the show, some really nice fresh coriander. Which is right here. So you should have like 20 grams of that. Looks like a lot, but it all gets blitzed up. So you'll also need equipment-wise, if you have one, a measuring jug. You'll need a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can use a pestle and mortar. But a food processor is good if you're like me, you're a bit lazy and yeah, not in the mood for too much chopping. Yeah, so let's get started. Right, I've got my onion. So the idea behind this dish, it sounds a little bit strange, but what we're going to do, instead of making like a traditional kind of curry, like midweek curry that you might have normally, we've kind of inverted the recipe so that it's your rice that is spiced, and it's your chicken is actually, you don't have to make a curry sauce. The curry sauce is kind of like a raw chutney. It's got yogurt in it, and you kind of mix it through the chicken at the end. You just pan fry the chicken and mix it through. So it's a bit like your curry is in the rice, and then the chicken sits in almost like a raita. So it's almost kind of like a summery Indian dish. It's really nice, and we're cooking it because it's a little bit unusual and probably one of the dishes that needs the most explanation on the menu at the moment, I'd say. Okay, so I've taken the root of my onion off. Just cut it in half. We actually are going to put, one thing I'd say, another thing I always say is I would get a bowl or a saucepan or some kind of container for all your bits of peelings and stuff, because like me, if you're a little bit anal in the kitchen, you don't want any mess. stops you like getting all flustered down?
I didn't, but since you said it so often, I now do.
Excellent. It's the simple things I find that are helpful. Okay, so I'm just going to peel the onion. You want to leave the root on because the root helps it stay together when you chop it. And then you want to make sharp knife, make incisions. I don't know if you can see. We're going incisions this way, like that. So all along. Try and keep your fingers flat on the top of the onion. Then you can almost, I mean, don't try this, but you can like look away when you cut, when you do that, because you know that your fingers are there protecting you from the knife. But don't try this. Don't try this. Don't try this if it's the first time. So you kind of essentially fan the onion, if you can see that, like that. And then we just go the other way. Kind of can't bring the onion towards you. And then you want to make like 3 extra incisions. Be careful with your fingers. Yeah, and then we just do that to the other one. And the difference between slicing and dicing is slicing, actually I'll just show you. Just finish this up. Slicing is when you've got your onion half. Get rid of that. This is just a demo onion, and you're actually slicing, so you end up with like half moon type thing. So that would be a slice as opposed to a dice, which we do cross. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So I've made the incisions, and then you're just gonna run your knife over the whole thing. When you get to the root, that's really annoying, isn't it? The jingling of my bowls. Yeah, just finish up. You don't have to put the onion in the rice, you can just do it with spice, but onion always gives an, you kind of always, it's good to start with an onion in Indian cookery, I find. Gives it a nice savoury depth. Okay, so I've got my massive pile of onions. You can kind of run the knife over. And if you want to not cry, which I'm starting to do, move your peelings away from you or put them in the bin, because it's the root of the onion which is going to make you cry. Also, wash your knife. And you can also burn a candle if you want to make the atmosphere a little bit more romantic. It actually burns off the fumes, so it stops you crying. What else can you do? You can also put a spoon in your mouth, although I don't like doing that because I quite like to talk when I cook, even to myself when I'm at home alone. Okay, so we need just half of this onion and a pan for your rice. And I'm just going to put that on sort of medium heat. We want a bit of vegetable oil, or you can use sunflower oil, or you can use rapeseed oil. You just want a flavourless oil. And then we've got our grab packets. So your turmeric, curry powder, and your chili flakes. If you don't like pain, just leave the chili flakes out. They're not that hot, these ones, but you know, if you are sensitive, obviously leave them out. I'm going to add about half my onion to the oil. Now you want to hear those onions hit the pan. They need to sizzle. You need to listen to your food when it cooks.
What oil would you use for this, Anne?
Vegetable oil. You're listening, are you, Dan?
Yeah, sorry,
vegetable oil.
Could you use other oils, I suppose, is my question.
Yeah, you can use rapeseed oil, any flavourless oil. Don't use olive oil because it's got a low smoke point, low flame point, which means it's not hot enough quite for the onions to like start to caramelise, which is what we want. So I've got half my onions. I'm gonna leave the rest for later. So just put those to one side. And I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. This helps the onions, like adding salt to onions draws the liquid out of them. It's like anything. It's like if you were to eat too much salt yourself, you start to shrivel up and dehydrate. Exactly the same with food. So you need to take that moisture out in order to get flavour into it. I'm just going to turn that up a tiny bit. Then we add our spices straight in. So we've got really nice curry powder, which has got quite a lot of celery salt in it, I think, this one. So that's just a mixture of different spices. Turmeric, which is a really great antiseptic, also makes your food really lovely, bright, vibrant yellow. And we've got chili flakes. I love chili, so I would be tempted, if you do too, just add some more if you have them lying around. Do we want some more heat, or are we okay with those chili flakes? Should we go a little bit spicy?
Yeah, let's take it up a notch.
Okay, so you want to just mix the onion and the spices. Can you see that? So you got to that stage, and then they're just starting to caramelize, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then like much like you would a risotto, you just add your rice straight in. Don't need to wash rice. A lot of people are scared about rice and they rinse it and rinse it.
Why are we using that kind of rice? Can we use other kinds?
You use long grain just because it's got less starch in it, so it's not going to become mushy. So your curry is the sauce, and you want nice rice to nice rice. You want nice dry rice, so you can have your curry sauce with it. So any long grain rice is fine. So add that straight in, mix it up, and the thing is, rice isn't really scary at all. Don't wash it, just have it as is, and then it's just all about the water quantity after that. So we've done all the work for you. We've worked it out. It's 360 mils to your 150 grams of rice. So measuring jugs are good. If you don't have a measuring jug, it's just over a pint. Is that right? Yeah, it's just over a pint. Add that straight in. And also add your sultanas. The reason that you add the sultanas now is so that they rehydrate in the liquid. And so by the end, you've got lovely plump sultanas straight into the rice.
Alice, can we use raisins instead of sultanas?
I mean, raisins and sultanas are pretty much the same. Currants, I wouldn't use; they're a bit too small. And the flavour of sultanas is slightly sweeter, slightly nicer, I'd say. Don't use anything too sharp. You could probably use apricots as well. Dried apricots are quite nice, but don't use things like cranberries because they're a bit too sour. You just want sweetness. So I'm going to bring that to the boil, and then we just put a lid on it afterwards, and then that's it. Your rice is done. Might add just a little bit of salt because I always like a bit more salt. So bring that up to heat on a high temperature, and then where are we now? Okay, we are at ginger and garlic stage. So I'm going to just get a teaspoon, and I'm going to peel my ginger with a teaspoon. Reason being is you just kind of scrape the skin off, you can see you kind of hold the, can you see that? You kind of hold the, what's it called, teaspoon? It's called a teaspoon, I just forgot what it was called. You just hold it in your hand like that to have good grip, and then you kind of just peel off the skin. Then you have absolutely no waste, which is what we love. And try not to get ginger juice in your eye. I think I just did that. Yeah, so you just scrape it off. And then you've got your nice piece of really spicy, love fresh ginger. It smells amazing. Okay, my rice is boiling. I'm just going to turn it down to the lowest temperature and put a lid on it. Leave it about 15 minutes and it'll be perfect. Okay, so I've got my peeled ginger. I'm just going to roughly chop this. So we're creating a chutney, sort of Indian fresh chutney. Most people think chutney like in a jar, really sweet, you have it with cheese. No, this fresh chutneys are amazing. It simply means you're mixing some fresh ingredients together, essentially, this chutney. So we've got really fresh, vibrant, spicy ginger. I've got garlic. I've again got these massive, I don't know where we get these massive cloves of garlic from. Chop off the end. We're gonna pop your knife down, back of the knife blade. You just crush it and peel off the skin.
How do we stop our hands stinking of garlic for days and days after making this dish?
Yeah, garlic fingers. So what you can do is, okay, so instead of, like, most people will chop the garlic and then they will, like, do you just wash your hands with hot soapy water, and then by doing that you're opening the pores and all of the garlic smell is going in, and you're kind of, it's going to stay like that forever. What you need to do is wash them in cold water and run the fingers over like something stainless steel. So I normally do it on the sink. Sort of magically, if you rub them and then wash with cold water at the same time, it just goes. Don't ask me how it happens. It just happened. Okay. Okay, I've got my garlic and ginger. I have got now coriander. So coriander is a bit like it's like Indian parsley, I'd say. You see it a lot. And this is where all the flavour's coming, well, most of the flavour and the colour is coming from in the chutney. So just roughly chop that. And if you do have a food processor, everything needs to be roughly chopped. If you're using a pestle and mortar, same thing, just pop it in and bash it with a bit of salt. And yeah, then we're done.
Can we use dried coriander instead?
I wouldn't use dried coriander because it's like dry. So dried. Can you get dried coriander?
I think that's the thing. I'm pretty sure I have it in my cupboard.
No,
maybe.
It's pointless. It's completely pointless. It's like, this is fresh, that freshness, and you're not going to get your colour from it. And also, I think dried spices need to be cooked, otherwise you just get that powdery thing. Okay, so I've got my slightly temperamental food processor. I'm going to add all of the garlic and the ginger. Ground almonds, I'm going to add. This just thickens it, and they're really good for you. Ground almonds, I think they give you, I was talking to my our nutritionist before, and she said they basically make you live forever. So eat your ground almonds. Bit of salt, tiny pinch of sugar, which is optional. You don't need this, but for me, it just adds a tiny bit of, obviously, sweetness. I'm going to add all of my coriander with a few little sprigs at the end for a pretty for a pretty garnish, and then just blitz it. And while that's cooking, I'm just going to check my rice, which is nearly done. Still leave it on the heat, it's not absorbed all the water. Okay, now I've got yogurt and I've got a bit of olive oil. And that's just going to loosen the chutney a little bit. I need a spoon. Where's my spoon now? Okay, so yogurt goes in. This is a really nice thick Greek yogurt. And then you want to add really nice olive oil. I go for about 2-3 tablespoons. And then that's it. I love food processors, they're just the best things ever. Okay, so you just end up like that. Your yogurt, taste it. Dan, do you want to taste it?
Yeah, I'll do the honour.
Always taste your food. So many people are like, should I add more seasoning? How do I know it's meant to taste? Just taste it. Do you like it?
Excellent. Bit of pepper, maybe.
Bit of pepper, there you go. Your food will tell you all that you need to know, really. I think you just have to have the confidence to taste at all times. When I worked in restaurants before, people are always like, oh, how are you not obese? How are you not really fat? And like, how comes you're aren't eating all the time? But actually, because you taste so much, you just you're kind of constantly full. So I think, yeah, it's a good one to take forward. Okay. My chutney is ready. Now it's time for the chicken. I'm just gonna clear this away. Chicken. You want to cut the chicken into, I'm just going to wash my knife actually. You want to cut the chicken into nice, even pieces. I'd do 3 strips. Hi, Morgan. You want to do 3 strips and then just go across. It's all about even cooking, but chicken breast is, your knife skills don't exactly need to be great for cutting chicken breast. I've got 2 rather small chicken breasts here. You might have one larger one at home. But either way, it's about 300 grams we need. Okay. And then heat a pan. I always go for a nice non-stick pan because I'm really lazy and I like things not to stick, which means I do less washing up. I would recommend non-stick pan. And then we're going to go a bit more oil, say about a tablespoon. Get some tongs. These guys, I believe we sell tongs on our website or checkout now. You can get them along with things like this microplane. What else do we sell?
The garlic crusher.
Garlic crusher.
Chopping board.
Oh, and a little chopping board, really cute chopping board. Do we have one to show you?
No.
And we don't have one to show you, but they're there. Come check them out. Okay, so I'm going to add my chicken straight in. Again, wait till your oil's hot. Oh, actually, a really good way to tell your oil if your oil is ready, your oil is hot enough to cook, is if you stick wooden spoon or a chopstick into the oil, and if bubbles start forming around the surface, then, which they haven't on mine yet, but when they do, that means the oil is hot enough for you to cook. So I'm just going to wait for 2 seconds and have a drink while I do.
Can I ask a question about the rice, Alice?
Yes, you can.
So this is quite similar to a pilau rice, would you say? Is that cooked in a similar way?
Yeah, exactly. So you're cooking onion. You're basically flavouring your rice. I mean, it's great to flavour your rice. You can do it with, if you're cooking Thai food, add a stick of lemongrass in. You can add whole, cut up lemon. You can add bay leaf if you're maybe just have a bay leaf cooking around. Always try and add stuff to your rice because it makes it interesting, and why not? Rice is the way it's steamed, it takes on the flavour so much better. It's almost like aromatherapy when you take the lid off.
You can use stock instead of water as well.
You can use stock, exactly. Flavour your rice. Why not? And onion, or you can add pepper to rice. Do that in Spanish cooking a lot. You can add chorizo. As long as the water quantity is correct, then of course, like stock, anything else goes. So I'd encourage you to experiment. Okay, so I'm gonna add my chicken. That's definitely hot enough. And then we just want to cook it for about 3 minutes. Add a pinch of salt at this stage. And you want like some space in between your chicken so that it doesn't steam, so that it gets nice and coloured. And you want that on like a medium-high heat. So, once that's just started to kind of colour, we're going to add the onions. And I'm going to get my plates ready, because we're sort of nearly there once the chicken is cooked. How's everybody at home? I hope everybody's good and not finding it too stressful. Again, we really want to see your pictures. So it's hashtag Gousto Live.
Which looks a bit like Gousto Olive, I've noticed though.
Looks a bit like Gousto Olive, but it's not. It's Gousto Live. It's just all one word. Well done, Dan.
It's a good way of remembering it though.
It is. Gousto Olive or Gousto Live, whatever you like, but just do, because then you get to win a Gousto box, right? Brilliant. Okay, my chicken just starting to colour. I'm going to add the remaining onions from before. The chicken. So chicken breast really doesn't need very much cooking at all. So you're looking like 3 to 4 minutes. Just going to get my board out of the way. And so what we do with this dish is we just stir the warm chicken through the chutney. So less cooking in general. Okay, my rice is done. I'm just going to plate that. Try and keep it kind of all in the middle. Kind of don't kind of push your food around. You want to keep it all just piled up in the middle. And then my chicken is, I would say, if you're not sure if your chicken is cooked, take a little piece out. And just cut it. So mine is just about white and cooked on the inside. Always just test stuff if you're not sure it's the easiest way. And then your onions should be just at the point where they're starting to caramelize and cook. Perfect. Okay. And we're just going to let that cool down a little bit before we stir in the sauce. Take my blade out. Okay, so what happens if you add yogurt too quickly to hot pans is it splits, which is why we're just stirring it in last minute through the end. You also don't get rid of the really strong flavors of garlic and chili, which I really like. And also your herbs are going to stay vibrant. If you cook soft herbs too much, like parsley, when I say soft herbs, I literally mean soft herbs like parsley, basil, tarragon, anything like that, mint, then they're going to go black. So to keep things fresh, just keep them raw. And then that's just mixed through. I don't know if you, can you see this properly? And then the onions and the chicken all combine and it sort of turns into something really lovely. It's a bit like having a raita, I guess, like a warmed one. Okay. That little shake. And then that just goes on top. You don't have to plate all of it at once as well. Sometimes it's quite nice to have seconds. So, I mean, typical Gousto meal, it's ready in way less than half an hour. It's really simple and easy and hopefully really tasty. Okay, so I'm just going to finish with a few of my coriander sprigs. And then, do you guys want to come and try it?
Of course.
We've even got people who've turned up
Oh, hi,
especially for the
Morgan.
eating. I don't know if we should allow this on us.
Didn't know this was happening. Okay, well, you can start with that one. I'll just show you.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Go on.
I thought you'd invited us
No,
in.
it's fine.
Okay. That's how good it is.
Okay, yeah, so that's it. Oh, you can add a tiny bit of pepper at the end or salt, but yeah, that is the coriander chicken with spiced rice. Thanks for coming or cooking along with us. Hope you enjoyed it. Hashtag Gousto Pro. No, Gousto Live. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Join us again next time, 2 weeks time. See you later.
Bye.